Okay, awesome. So today's call is about structure. So I've been liking doing structure calls early in the week, especially before just live analysis calls. So you guys can just see how I pick my structure. Okay. Make sure you have the training plan on your whiteboard. So I tell people all the time, when it comes to courses and learning, sometimes we don't follow all the instructions, right? If our mentor says write all 10 steps on the whiteboard and have 4 slots for 4 trades, and we write 3 quotes on the whiteboard and we write down our lot size. So you want to make sure you guys have that in front of you. So you are tapping into everything in the right order every single day, including mindset. So after mindset, we have structure, which is what we're going to do today. Let's see. Let's go over basic structure and then I'll go on to the charts. So let's go to, okay, so drop a 1 if you read the Wyckoff book, the Wyckoff methodology book. If you have not, drop a 0. If you're new, that's okay. You have to read the other 2 books first. Let's just talk about structure, and we do have some understanding of structure here. So let's structure trend, etc. So we have uptrend, downtrend, and trading range, which is a sideways, right? And then we have all types of trends, which is structure. So we have long-term, mid-term, short-term, and intraday. Now, those words are kind of retail vibes, which I don't really like. So generally speaking, when I look for structure, if you use this chart for an example, I'm looking at the mid-term to short-term. Okay, if you're struggling with structure and you're looking at this image, you need to pay attention to mid-term, which is the black, and the short-term. Okay, these are things that you guys should be putting in your notes when I'm speaking to you. So generally, I would look for structure on the midterm and look for, let's say, schematics, points of interest, or entries on something like the short term. My stop loss would be like intraday, right? Take profit more, maybe long term. So people get really lost in structure because obviously of this right here. There's like millions of types of ways to do this, right? So we're gonna break it down and see how it really works. So I'm just gonna give you guys a blank page to just explain what I just showed you guys myself. So maybe we'll do it next to a chart. Let's do it. I like to explain things in uptrends. I don't know. It's just the vibe. Let's just keep it. Well, let's just keep it like this. Okay, so long-term trend is obvious here, right? It's the uptrend. Okay, so your mid-term trend would be like so. So let's start from here, 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 and here. So mid-trend is generally what you'll mostly see me mark up when I do structure right now. Okay, this is your overall highs and lows of your pattern. If your mid-term trend changes, that's going to change your overall structure for the long term. Okay, so this is what I'm using to really understand where we're going long term. Now, for points of interest and entries, I may go down to, what do they call it? The short-term trend. Okay, so this is giving me so messy already. I can't even read it. Let's change the color for this one to blue. Okay, I barely even know how to do short-term trend. Okay, here, I feel like there's no difference. The difference would be here. Okay. Now, I know that's getting messy, but let's get to it in 1 second. So I'm going to draw it a certain type of way right now. Okay, so what do you guys see me just do with this example? This right here was supposed to be an accumulation. Okay. So what's an accumulation, right? Selling climax. Selling climax, AR, ST, up thrust, spring, break a structure, entry, take it away. Okay, does that make sense? So like I was saying, you're gonna look for your overall trend, right? Long-term trend, whatever. Your mid-term trend is your general structure, and the short-term trend is your structure with your entry. So if I find an up structure, even though this right here, this is a down pullback, that can give me my selling climax, ST, lower low, and spring. Right, selling climax, let me put it there for you guys. So again, these are what you guys should be writing in your notes, not just taking screenshots and saving it or typing it. Notes, 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 notes. Okay? So that's how you're using structure. Now, generally, you want to be lower of the range. Now, obviously, someone said, like, how do you understand if you're in lower of the range in real time? And you kind of have to pay attention to if you just get a new high or new low. Okay? So let's say here we obviously have a low, high, and then obviously we're getting a spring, which is giving us a sign of strength for the new high. And if we had maybe an accumulation down here, and this is a reaccumulation, well, then it makes sense. So when it comes to buying at the bottom of the range and selling high, you're more paying attention to market cycle. And that's why I tell you guys to back test the pairs that you're looking for setups for the week, and back test only within the last week. Like back test how you got here. Like if you have an accumulation here, then you should be back testing a distribution or a redistro here. Okay, if we get an accumulation here, then we should expect a distro, let's say forming here from a previous input and interest over here. Does anyone have any questions? Or does that all make perfect sense? Okay, so the last one was pretty much intraday trend, which is a very, very small little trends. That's like pretty much for your stop loss. So let's see, your stop loss. Should we zoom into it? I know if I move the screen, it's just gonna ruin everything. So let's say we are entering off of the spring for whatever reason. We wouldn't obviously just enter off the spring, but we would be looking at this trend here, this up, down. I know this is probably very small. So up, down, this is candle right here. We use this body to stop loss this entry, okay? So same thing over here. Right, we use this, or let's say this, to stop loss this entry for this accumulation. Does this make sense for everyone when it comes to structure and different time frames? Because I know you guys see me jump time frames a lot, and maybe you guys don't really understand why I'm doing it or what my eyes are doing. The hardest part about teaching you Forex is that I can't really explain to you what my eyes are seeing. I can't explain where I'm looking unless I'm pointing, but it's very hard to do that. So I want to make sure you guys understand. Makes sense, makes sense, makes sense. Okay, cool. Okay, so I'll take a screenshot of this if you do not have it drawn out in your book. I will take a screenshot for everybody. Drop it in the chat. Okay, so that is GJ. Let's go to GJ for real. And we're just gonna do some early in the week structure.